Hi, if you've forgotten, I'm Emma from the YouTube channel B&B Spoilers. Welcome back to my channel. I am absolutely vibrating with excitement today to reveal the most explosive, jaw-dropping spoilers yet. We are breaking down a massive Forrester-Logan war, a catastrophic marriage-ending ultimatum for Bridge, and a heartbreaking medical secret that will shatter a fan-favorite couple. The fashion world of Los Angeles is currently burning to the ground, and the collateral damage is tearing legendary families apart. The corporate war between Forrester Creations and House of Logan has officially reached a catastrophic, nuclear boiling point. What started as a sneaky business maneuver by Katie Logan to hijack the industry's attention has now mutated into a deeply personal, marriage-destroying blood feud. The absolute epicenter of this unprecedented earthquake is none other than Hope Logan. After executing a ruthless defection to Katie's rival fashion house, Hope has been carrying the crushing weight of the Forrester family's collective rage. The pressure, the guilt, and the relentless backlash have finally taken a devastating physical toll. Hope has suffered a severe medical crisis, collapsing straight to the floor in a terrifying display of physical and emotional exhaustion. This singular, horrifying moment changes the trajectory of every single power player in the city. Brooke Logan, who had previously been leading the charge of outrage against her daughter's betrayal, experiences an instantaneous, visceral maternal awakening. Seeing her daughter unconscious and completely broken by the stress of this corporate war flips a switch deep inside Brooke's soul. The corporate loyalty to Forrester Creations evaporates in a fraction of a second. Brooke rushes to Hope's side, her heart shattering at the sight of her vulnerable child. In that sterile hospital room, Brooke makes a monumental decision that will alter the fabric of her family forever. She unconditionally forgives Hope. Every ounce of anger, every lingering resentment over the fashion house swap, is completely wiped away. Brooke realizes that no dress, no couture line, and no corporate legacy is worth the health and sanity of her own flesh and blood. She vows to fiercely protect Hope, wrapping her in an impenetrable shield of maternal love and absolute solidarity. However, this unconditional forgiveness acts as a lit match thrown directly into a powder keg. When Ridge Forrester learns that his wife has completely abandoned the Forrester crusade to side with the very person who sabotaged their company, he feels a level of betrayal that cuts straight to the bone. Ridge is already seething over the fact that Eric Forrester's highly anticipated couture collection was ruthlessly delayed by Logan's aggressive ambush. To Ridge, Hope is not just a confused daughter making a career move, she is the enemy. She is the architect of Forrester Creations' current humiliation. And now, the woman he loves, the matriarch of his family, is actively choosing to defend the enemy. Ridge feels deeply, profoundly insulted. He views Brooke's forgiveness not as an act of maternal grace, but as a direct, unforgivable stab in the back to him, to Steffi, and to the entire Forrester legacy. The tension violently erupts into a catastrophic, foundation-shaking confrontation at the Forrester mansion. The atmosphere is suffocating as Ridge and Brooke face off in the living room, the air practically crackling with decades of unresolved resentment. Ridge paces the floor like a caged lion, his voice trembling with sheer, unadulterated rage. He accuses Brooke of funding the enemy, of validating a betrayal that crippled his family's business during their most vulnerable hour. Brooke stands her ground, her eyes blazing with a fierce, protective fire. She screams back that Hope's physical collapse is a direct result of the toxic, suffocating pressure inflicted by the Forresters. Brooke declares that she will never, under any circumstances, abandon her child when she is quite literally breaking down from the stress. The screaming match escalates to a deafening pitch, echoing through the halls of the mansion as years of love curdle into bitter, acidic fury. Then comes the moment of no return. Ridge, blinded by his loyalty to the Forrester name and deeply wounded by his wife's defiance, issues a devastating, apocalyptic ultimatum. He looks Brooke dead in the eye and forces her to make an impossible choice. He demands absolute loyalty to the Forrester family, or she must walk out the door and protect her daughter. It is a line drawn in the sand with permanent ink. Ridge tells Brooke that she cannot sleep in his bed while actively supporting the rival empire that is trying to destroy his life's work. It is Forrester or Logan. It is her husband or her daughter. The sheer cruelty of the ultimatum hangs in the air, freezing the blood in Brooke's veins. Ridge expects her to fold, to prioritize their legendary romance just as she has done so many times before. But Brooke does not fold. Driven by a primal, unstoppable maternal instinct, Brooke makes the ultimate sacrifice. She looks at the man she has loved for decades, the man she has fought the world to be with, and she chooses her daughter. Brooke tells Ridge that if loving and protecting Hope means losing him, then the marriage is already over. The absolute finality in her voice shatters Ridge's heart into a million irreparable pieces. The realization dawns on both of them simultaneously: their legendary marriage is standing on the absolute brink of total, irreversible collapse. Brooke turns her back on Ridge, walking out of the mansion and leaving a suffocating, deafening silence in her wake. The bridge between them has not just been burned, it has been completely obliterated. Smelling the blood in the water from a mile away, Dollar Bill Spencer immediately swoops into the chaotic fallout. Bill has been waiting for an opportunity like this for years, and he is not about to let a crisis go to waste. With the Forrester-Logan corporate war already raging, Bill sees the fracture in Ridge and Brooke's marriage as the ultimate weapon. He steps in to divide the couple even further, operating with surgical, ruthless precision. Bill approaches a vulnerable, grieving Brooke, offering her a throne at House of Logan and validating every single one of her maternal choices. He whispers toxic, anti-Forrester rhetoric into her ear, reinforcing the narrative that Ridge is a controlling tyrant who forced her to choose between her husband and her child. Bill's manipulative machinations are designed to turn this bitter family conflict into an all-out, scorched-earth corporate war between the two fashion empires. He wants Brooke to channel her heartbreak into absolute vengeance. By aligning Brooke with Katie and Hope, Bill is assembling a formidable, unstoppable Logan matriarchy that poses an existential threat to Forrester Creations. Ridge is left isolated, furious, and highly volatile, preparing to launch a counterattack that will rock the industry. The battle lines are no longer just about fashion designs or runway shows. This is a deeply personal blood feud fueled by broken vows, shattered trust, and ruthless ambition. The war has gone completely nuclear, and there will be no survivors left unscathed. While the fashion empires wage their loud, explosive war, a much quieter, profoundly devastating tragedy is unfolding across town. Daphne Rose Walton is currently living through a waking nightmare. After months of keeping her and Carter's struggles to conceive a closely guarded secret, Daphne finally seeks medical answers. In the sterile, cold office of Dr. Lee Finnegan, Daphne's entire world is violently ripped apart. Lee delivers the heartbreaking, soul-crushing diagnosis with clinical precision: Daphne is going through early menopause. She is completely, irreversibly infertile. The words hit Daphne like a physical blow to the chest. The dream of carrying a child, of building the beautiful family that she and Carter have so desperately prayed for, is instantly reduced to ashes. Daphne completely breaks down, her body shaking with uncontrollable, agonizing sobs. She is entirely shattered, paralyzed by a level of grief that she cannot even begin to articulate. Steffi Forrester Finnegan, standing fiercely by her friend's side, holds Daphne as she crumbles. Steffi offers deep, empathetic emotional support, trying to anchor Daphne in the midst of this terrifying medical storm. But no amount of comfort can erase the absolute horror that is slowly creeping into Daphne's mind. She realizes that she now has to go home and face her husband. She has to look into the eyes of the man she loves more than life itself, a man who is desperately, passionately yearning to be a father, and tell him that she can never give him a child. The psychological torment Daphne endures is unbearable. When she finally returns home, she finds Carter in a state of blissful, tragic ignorance. Carter is radiating with excitement, animatedly planning for their future, talking about nursery colors, and dreaming about the day they will finally hold their baby. Every single word out of Carter's mouth is a dagger twisting in Daphne's bleeding heart. She is suffocating under the weight of her devastating secret, completely paralyzed by the fear that this diagnosis will make Carter stop loving her. She doesn't know how to break his heart. She doesn't know how to destroy his dreams. So, Daphne does the only thing she can think of in her panicked, traumatized state: she stays completely silent. Daphne's silence begins to act as a toxic, invisible poison seeping into the foundation of their marriage. She pulls away from Carter physically and emotionally, unable to bear his loving touches when she feels so fundamentally broken and inadequate. She avoids conversations about the future, changes the subject when children are mentioned, and retreats into a dark, isolated shell of depression. Carter, completely bewildered and deeply hurt by his wife's sudden coldness, tries everything to reach her. He plans romantic dinners, offers a listening ear, and begs her to let him in. But Daphne's fear of rejection is too overpowering. The silence creates a massive, agonizing gap between them, turning their once passionate home into a tense, walking on eggshells environment. Steffi repeatedly urges Daphne to tell Carter the truth, warning her that the secret is doing far more damage than the diagnosis ever could. But Daphne's feelings of unworthiness keep her lips tightly sealed. She is convinced that Carter will leave her for a woman who can give him the biological children he so deeply desires. This toxic combination of grief, fear, and insecurity pushes Daphne to the absolute edge of her sanity. She is watching her marriage slowly bleed out, yet she feels completely powerless to stop it, trapped in a prison of her own making. The inevitable, catastrophic explosion finally occurs on a random, fateful afternoon at the hospital. Carter, running an errand or perhaps checking in on a routine matter, finds himself near Dr. Lee Finnegan's office. Through a devastating twist of fate, Carter accidentally spots a misplaced medical file. He recognizes Daphne's name on the folder. Driven by a mix of concern and the desperate need to understand his wife's recent erratic behavior, Carter opens the file. His eyes scan the medical jargon, landing on the stark, undeniable conclusion: early menopause. Severe infertility. Zero chance of conception. The world completely stops spinning. The air is sucked out of Carter's lungs as the reality of the diagnosis crashes over him like a tidal wave. But the initial shock of the infertility is quickly eclipsed by a much darker, sharper pain. Carter realizes the date on the file. He realizes that Daphne has known about this for a significant amount of time. The woman he pledged his life to, the woman he shares his soul with, looked him in the eye every single day and lied by omission. She watched him plan for a baby, watched him hope and pray, all while holding this devastating truth hidden in the shadows. A massive, turbulent storm of emotion erupts inside Carter. He is grieving the loss of his future child, but more importantly, he is profoundly, deeply wounded by his wife's blatant lack of trust. Carter confronts Daphne in a scene of raw, unadulterated heartbreak. He holds the medical file in his trembling hands, his voice cracking as he demands to know why she kept this from him. The confrontation is explosive, filled with tears, screaming, and shattered illusions. Carter tells Daphne that he feels incredibly hurt and betrayed, not because she can't have children, but because she didn't trust him enough to share her pain. He screams that marriage is about facing the darkness together, and by shutting him out, she treated him like an enemy rather than a partner. The agony in Carter's voice is devastating, a true testament to a man who feels his entire foundation has been ripped away. Daphne, finally breaking her silence, unleashes a torrent of repressed grief and self-loathing. She collapses in tears, confessing her deepest, darkest fears. She screams that she feels completely unworthy of his love, that she feels like a failure as a woman, and that she was terrified he would abandon her the second he found out she was broken. Daphne's raw vulnerability exposes the sheer depth of her trauma, begging Carter to understand that her lie was born out of absolute, paralyzing fear of losing him. She never meant to hurt him, she was only trying to protect the fragile bubble of their happiness for just a little bit longer. The confrontation leaves both Carter and Daphne completely drained, staring at the shattered remains of their once perfect relationship. They are standing at a terrifying crossroads. Carter must decide if he can forgive Daphne for the massive betrayal of trust, and Daphne must figure out how to heal her own broken self-worth before she can ever be a true partner again. Their marriage is officially facing its most brutal, unforgiving test ever. The road to redemption is paved with broken glass, and it is entirely uncertain if their love is strong enough to survive the journey. The stakes have never been higher, and the emotional fallout will ripple through their lives for years to come. Will Bridge survive this nuclear fallout, and can Carter forgive Daphne's devastating lie? Drop your wildest theories below, smash that subscribe button, and join the BNB Spoilers family right now.